All right, guys, the latest in the Genshin, the Genshin saga.
It's been a little while since we've had an update on the
Hero
English
Hei
voice actor / Hoyoverse voice actor situation. One of the reasons why we haven't had an update in the last 4 to 5 days is because a lot of the voice actors who were making crazy unhinged takes and ranting and being all toxic
they'll stop
over on places like Blue Sky had the bright idea to actually stop making crazy posts.
Whoa.
Which I suppose is some character development. But of course, they still tried to have the last word. For example, Kaiser Neko saying, "I'm done talking about any of this." That Blue Sky post following a number of Blue Sky posts he made that were essentially saying why people need to support SAG. To be fair, he did provide some criticisms of the union, but ultimately he did boil his take down to SAG may do some things bad, but it's important that
you know, though, this like whole situation was like the perfect example of why people are skeptical about unions. Because like you'll say like, "Oh, I don't like unions," and they'll be like, "Oh, so you hate unions? That means you love it when companies abuse workers." Like, what the fuck? Like,
support them. And then going on to say, as you just read, that he's done talking about any of this stuff. What's really funny too, I mean, that's funny by itself, but what's really funny too is this little clique of VAs over on Blue Sky, for example.
They do this all the time.
Kaiser Neko, Little Kribo, and Karina Boatger, Paimon VA. They're like constantly reposting each other, mainly Karina. Like Kaiser Neko and her Little Kribo would make posts, and then Karina would like repost them and add her commentary to it. And around the time that Kaiser said that he was done talking about this stuff, Karina's been like radio silent.
I thought like Little Karibo was like a beloved voice actor. I thought like he was generally loved by people.
Sky account too. And some people, if you're familiar with the videos I've been making on this, and that little, and that little Pomeranian, the Pomeranian of Doom person, I almost like freaking polymorphed.
He was?
Pomeranian of Doom and Little Kribo together, but no. The Pomeranian of Doom person, a lot of people were speculating that it might be Karina's alt account. And it is funny that right around the time Karina stopped posting on Blue Sky, Pomeranian of Doom like slowed down the frequency of posting on Blue Sky. Ultimately, they're probably not the same person, just a
conspiracy theory.
But I also don't think there's a 0% chance that's her alt account. Like it's greater than 0%.
Well, like a sock puppet?
It's just not the most likely explanation, in my opinion at least. However, if it really did come out that Karina is actually running that Peanut account, they are the same person. I mean, that would just be like peak comedy. It's hard to believe that anything else regarding Karina could get even funnier, but that would certainly
Iron Tiger, thank you again, man. Thank you.
All the times that Pomeranian Doom is like going to Karina's posts and like trying to act like Karina's like totally right, and then Karina's just like reposting all that. If
Maybe
it's
we
really
should.
just her doing it. Oh my gosh, dude, it'd be hilarious. Anyways, I just thought that was all pretty funny, but now on to the important stuff. Because SAG-AFTRA recently held a meeting for their members about the strike, and it seems like there was a little incident that occurred at the meeting involving VA Jennifer Hale, which she goes on to apologize about, which we'll take a look at. On top of that, it also seems like some VAs are saying that the strike has done more harm than good and calling for it to end. First, the context on how we got there. It all began with this video game strike member info meeting that SAG-AFTRA officially held on April 29th. They described this as, "We invite all performers who work the Interactive Media Agreement to join us for a strike update meeting. Hear from the Interactive Media Agreement Negotiating Committee and lead negotiators about where we stand with the video game employers. The committee would also like to hear directly from members who have worked under video game contracts, so please plan to attend." The italic text reading, "This meeting is open to paid-up SAG-AFTRA members in good standing. Paid through April 30th, 2025. No guests are allowed. Parents and guardians of performers under 18 years old are welcome." On Blue Sky, voice actor Kyle McCarley, with the profile pic definitely letting you know that he's on strike, says, "To all SAG-AFTRA members working in video games, the Interactive Committee has just finished another round of negotiations and requests your urgent attendance at an informational meeting tomorrow."
Every time I think about SAG-AFTRA, I always think about that Team America and the Film Actors Guild.
Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific. Register, blah, blah, blah. Stuff we already read. And after the meeting, he went on to say, "Woke up this morning feeling very proud of my SAG-AFTRA brothers, sisters, and non-binary siblings in the video game space. Thanks for showing up and making your voices heard."
Oh, because they said brothers, sisters, and then they had to like add that so that the people didn't get mad at them.
Let's win this fight. And that context takes us to
I was like, where did that come from?
Who
Matt
you might be
Damon.
familiar with. Best known for her work in video game franchises such as Baldur's Gate, Mass Effect, Metal Gear Solid, BioShock Infinite, Metroid Prime, Halo, Overwatch, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, and Guinness World Records calling her the most prolific video game actor in 2013, I guess. And on May 1st, the other day, she said, "I want to sincerely apologize for losing my temper during our meeting. I let my emotions take over, and I take full responsibility for that. My delivery was wrong, even if the concern behind it was real. So presumably the meeting that's being referred to is the SAG-AFTRA meeting that we went over just a moment ago in this video. Continuing with her statement, she says, "The truth is I'm heartbroken for our industry, for our colleagues, and just for the countless people affected by this strike. This isn't just about actors, recording studios, developers, casting directors, agents, production teams. Our entire ecosystem is hurting. Some are already losing their homes. Others are struggling to provide for their families. We are close to a deal. That's why it's so important our members see it for themselves, both the wins secured and the very real consequences of not reaching an agreement. Minimizing progress or pushing for more without acknowledging what's already being lost is dangerous. This moment demands clarity, compassion, and compromise. Let's come together, not just to end the strike, but to protect the community we all care so deeply about." Now, of course, we don't have the specifics for what she's apologizing for here during the meeting because we haven't seen that. But whether you agree or disagree with her or some other opinion, at the very least, I think this take is better than what Karina Boetker had said, referring to her now infamous crash out rant, where she basically said that if you're not a voice actor, your opinion on this stuff doesn't matter at all.
Again, the craziest fucking thing about the Karina stuff, she didn't even strike. That's like the craziest thing. It's like, oh, like these people that are like scabbing, like shut up, don't talk about it. But she didn't even strike. Like, what is going on? Oh man, that's crazy. That's crazy.
And I think she also said that like you're stupid or something. So yeah.
No, what she said, Jedi, is she said that she needs money, so she's not striking. But then she was shaming other people for scabbing. It's actually like so weird.
That whole crash.
Like she was being like super righteous about the strike, but like she didn't even strike.
Out. Well, at least Jennifer Hale is acknowledging that this strike does affect many other people than just the voice actors, because that is true, and something that I pointed out myself in response to Karina's crazy rant, that it was very self-centered and egotistical of her to act like the only people being affected here are VAs, when that is certainly not the case, given, as Jennifer Hale said, these things affect the production overall. And something Jennifer Hale didn't say, which is also the people who consume it, of course, in the case of like Hoyoverse games, you know, the gamers, the fans, the people who play the games. But still, yeah, it's a bigger scope than just the VAs. Good that Jennifer Hale is acknowledging that, and maybe Karina can take some notes here. Probably she won't, but who knows? Oh my gosh, guys. I think I outdid Grok. Look at this. Someone in the responses asked for context, and Grok responds just talking about like some of the video game strike stuff. But as we know, this is actually likely referring to the whole SAG meeting thing. Guys, can I get some praise in the comments for like being smarter than an artificial intelligence? I mean, like that's pretty cool, right? But also, I'm joking because the AI might take over one day. So my apologies to Grok and Nirasama and all the AI out there. I don't want any trouble. Please forgive me.
We're gonna get you, man.
Moving on. Voice actress Allegra Clark, the VA for Beidou in Genshin. I always forgot to say her name. Man, some of these Genshin, like so many of these Genshin names actually are so difficult to pronounce. You wouldn't believe how long it took me to pronounce Shinsho, if I'm even saying that right now. But anyways, Allegra Clark responds to Jennifer Hale and says, "I'm not privy to anything that happens during negotiations, what the current language is or isn't, or anything along those lines. But I am genuinely scared that this strike will have done more damage to the industry than anyone could have first seen, whether AI wins or not." She goes on to say, "There's so much ugliness happening in the community. Mistrust, accusations, sabotage, and fractured friendships. The stakes of the strike are understandably massive, given that they have to do with how our voices are used in the future, whether we consent to any of it or are paid. Those stakes mean that everyone is on edge and everyone is passionate." But my gosh, I don't recognize...
I'm gonna be real on this part. I actually do understand that part of the strike. The thing that they're worried about, let me explain. So when you do a voice acting project, right, you're basically signing the rights of those voice clips to be used, right? So they can use it for other stuff too. I mean, it depends again on the specifics of the contract, but you know how like sometimes like you'll hear the same voice line like used again for like a commercial or like another thing involving that character, right? What they're worried about is that the broadness of that allows the companies to basically use their voice to train an AI on their voice. Does that make sense? And so they don't want that to happen. And that part I actually understand. Like I totally understand that. Like that makes sense to me.
The industry compared to last year. This is a freaking nightmare. and I think it needs to end. I don't know what we gain from holding out further on the overall contract. I'm not privy to any specific language and don't know for sure whether what's on the table right now would screw us over royally. But I'm equally concerned for directors, engineers, casting, studios, people whose work has been impacted and frankly will be impacted whether we're paid fairly for our digital doubles or not, given that they won't be hired either. I also know full well that a lot of work is leaving the US, and as someone here, I would like to keep working. Something has to give. I don't know what that looks like or means under the circumstances. I felt like I've had to keep my head down for 9 months because it always seems like my feelings are contrary to what everyone else is saying. I want a fair contract. I want to know that my voice/performances are being used with my consent. I don't like the idea of AI in art, but I also understand that the tech companies that drive game studios need to know that they're not being limited in terms of tech/innovations. I truly hate all of this and wish that SAG had stopped it all outright during the TV film strike in 2023, and know that the interactive NAGCOM is continuing to work with the hand they've been dealt. Quick context, I'm assuming NAGCOM means negotiating committee, like the thing we read earlier. Continuing. But for everyone's sake, this strike also needs to end as soon as possible. It is a horrible time to be a voice actor right now. Every conversation is about the strike. Every conversation is about AI. I'm constantly bracing myself, wondering who I can trust, who's talking about me behind my back. Fans don't trust us. We'll never fully recover from this. I want to know my job will exist in the future, but I also want my job to exist right now. If Jen was angry the other day,
Zayla says, I don't mind if they use AI to create new voices like Hatsune Miku. I don't have a problem with that either, but I think that you should at least be aware that it's going to be used for that purpose, right? Like if you sign up for a job, like I think that's fair. As a fair ask, I think.
Because she cares, then I'm angry too, and we need to stop treating everyone, both on the other side of the table and in our own community, like the enemy. So let's pause there really quick.
Methaline.
I find this particularly interesting because I was just reading a Blue Sky post from a different voice actor. I think the post is from like yesterday, and their take was the complete opposite. This voice actor was saying we need to ignore the fans from the communities who are upset with us, who are criticizing us, basically saying that they're not important and going on to argue that everyone else agrees with us, so just ignore the fan. Completely opposite of what Allegra Clark is saying on that specific point. Just thought that was interesting. Continuing. To be clear with all of this, I'm using terms like contract a little loosely because I'm not in the room and don't know what exists in writing. It's not like there's a piece of paper that nobody is signing right now. I'm under the impression there's still some stuff to discuss. Negotiations are very difficult, and I commend everyone who has participated at the table for the hard work they've put in for the past few years. But it's been a few years now. Even if we've only been striking for 9 months, we need to come to an agreement soon for everyone's sake. Also, I'm home recovering from a sinus infection right now, so if any of my words are wiggly, that's why. Pro tip, don't let your allergies turn into an infection. Well, hopefully she can kick that infection. A top comment also responds saying, I firmly believe that the strike would be successful if SAG just stick to striking union companies from the list they presented day one. But the moment SAG tried to sneak non-union project into the strike, they lost. This was and still is a poor decision. Sorry for being rude.
Yeah,
we'll take a look at 3 more responses here. The first one saying
that is the problem, right? That is the problem, is them trying to force a non-union project to be union, which they shouldn't even be in anyway. So that's like the issue.
About AI, okay, most of the fans will still side with the VA. But after the Kenichi polemics, when the real reason goes to light, I think it's impossible to believe in this fight after that. All of us fans feels like we was betrayed. The next one reading. All I know is that I want VAs to get all the protections that they deserve, regardless of what has happened. That doesn't make anyone any less deserving of proper protections in their work. I wish you all the best and to see the community recover ASAP. And the last one reading. In general, fans have been inclined to side with the actors that give voice to their beloved characters, instead of with a big company. But like everyone else, fans are prone to turn their back to those who lie to them, actively lie or by omission, for their own gain. Oh my gosh, guys, do you remember when I was reading that post from Allegra Clark and I mentioned how part of it reminded me of the opposite of what another VA on Blue Sky was saying? It was freaking Little Karibo. I forgot it was this guy. Look at this. He said this. If you're an actor participating in the strike of certain video games.
I don't know that much. So like, wasn't he like beloved in like the online like voice acting community? It's like, what happened? Is it just all of this stuff? Like he just went fucking off the rails basically, and then so people don't like him anymore? I see. This happened.
And you feel discouraged by the response to certain games being struck, I highly recommend looking at how people are talking about the strike outside of those games fandoms. There's plenty of positive conversation and support. So yeah, it's like the opposite of where Allegra Clark said, I want to know my job will exist in the future, but I also want my job to exist right now. If Jen was angry the other day because she cares, then I'm angry too. And we need to stop treating everyone, both on the other side of the table and in our own community, like the enemy. Well, Little Karibo seems to disagree. He seems to think if you're in the community but you disagree with SAG-AFTRA and or the strike and or what the VAs are doing, if you criticize any of that or even simply disagree with it, that you're not even worth listening to. And he also got like 320 likes on his post. Presumably there are plenty of VAs who agree with Little Karibo, and this further shows that there is a growing and increasingly growing divide in the VA space. Now, to be quite frank, the statements that we have seen from Jennifer Hale and Allegra Clark are certainly better than the statements that we've seen from a lot of VAs who are partaking in the strike, but that is also a really low bar, you know? And they are correct when they talk about fans distrusting them, which I think actually Jennifer Hale didn't talk about, just Allegra Clark. So Allegra Clark is definitely correct about fans not trusting them, and that's for good reason. Like, they have lied to us. They've tried to manipulate us, use us to support their strike without question. And then when
if you're new to this, you haven't seen like any of the videos by Hero Hei or any of the videos I reacted to on it. Basically, the reason why people are mad is the VAs. And again, it's just a little recap for people that don't know. They tried to make this about AI and like, oh, the reason we're striking is because of AI, which is like a topic that a lot of people are really sympathetic about. But the projects that they were striking against already had that in their agreements with them. So it wasn't really about that. It's about them trying to force a non-union project into becoming union, which would then force all of the people on that to like be union. So it would kick out people that aren't a part of like SAG-AFTRA, which is again like these like projects like the MiHoYo projects are like international. There's like voice actors from all over the world, and they're trying to make it basically like Union America only, which is the reason why people are upset about it.
Raised some questions.
Yep.
They got all mad, insulted us, and in some cases tried to get the subreddit banned.
So people feel lied to. Yeah.
Banned. In some cases, then like smear us all as like alt-right. How dare you question SAG? You must be alt-right. Like all kinds of brain rot nonsense.
What does it
like
have
that.
to do?
Just pathetic behavior from the people
who are supposed to be voice acting?
Grown adult professionals, and they did this all to themselves. By the way, these are people who can choose to be a part of the union or not.
These people are like maximum brain rotted.
VAs who are doing wrong in their industry or not. For example, we recently saw the VA for Venti going up against what the union demands and going up against the other VAs who are loyalists, who are bootlickers to the union. Like, these people do have choices, and I understand the choices might not be easy. Oh, we're afraid of what the other VAs might say about us, or that SAG's going to get mad at us. So they really want to have the cake and they want to eat it too. They want to appease SAG and also still have the support from the fans who they will openly lie to and manipulate. And this makes people trust the VAs even less because they also have a financial incentive on both ends. They have a financial incentive to try and support SAG and trying to get them contracts that pay them more money and make all the jobs union jobs. They also have a financial incentive to try and appease the fans because they want money from the fans for things like signatures, maybe merch, stuff like that. So for a while, they thought they could have the best of both worlds. As mentioned, oh, hey, we can support SAG and string the fans along and lie to them and still get them to buy our autographs and show up to our signing events, blah, blah, blah. Now they're seeing that might not be the case. Maybe they can't have both. So the ones who are just now, after all the backlash, coming out to try and appease the fans, as mentioned, how do you know if you can trust those people if they're even genuine? Let's check out the post on our Genshin Impact about what Allegra had to say and read some of the top posts over there. For example, this one, where Allegra said, I'm constantly bracing myself, wondering who I can trust, who's talking about me behind my back. Fans don't trust us. We'll never recover from this. This top comment reads, that's the saddest part, honestly. This whole situation is such a huge...
I don't know if it's like voice actors in general. I think it's... And honestly, I don't even think this really applies to like the union, like people that are just in the union. I think this just applies to the people that were involved in like this specific scenario. I think it's gonna be very hard for them to build trust back, but people clearly don't dislike voice actors, right? Like the people didn't have an issue with, what was his name? Jacob Takanashi in Japan, that like basically was the one that replaced the person's voice on Genshin. Like people clearly had a lot of support for them. So yeah, this is probably, and even then I think people that are like just in the union that didn't really say anything, I don't really think they're going to be affected by it.
Huge mess, and they really won't recover from this. It's nice to hear another voice actor's thoughts on this, and we might see more speaking soon. Basically,
people who didn't say anything, they could just leave the union, right?
The domino effect. The response they got reads, If Allegra Clark...
Sorry, the problem is, again, it's like I said this a lot of times, is the union has to bring an actual value to the people in it other than just bullying companies, right?
Reads this topic, the fans trusted the voice actors when the fans thought this was about guaranteeing their voices couldn't be used for AI without consent and compensation. The attempted SAG-AFTRA flip in the shadows has poisoned the entire conversation. The fans still think that the AI clause doesn't seem necessary, considering all the countries Genshin is already in that already have AI protection clauses, and the fact that MiHoYo has only ever used AI once with an actor's permission to fill in their voice, while they were otherwise unavailable to voice. But if the only point of consideration is AI, that would guarantee far less anger, I
don't think it's a bad thing either. If an actor wants to actually sell that and be like, hey man, like I'm, you know, I really like the role, but like, you know, maybe I'm getting like surgery, like on, you know, on like something to do with my voice, and I'm going to be out of commission for like a while. So like, I don't want to lose the role though. Cause like, I really like that role. So like, go ahead and use AI for, I mean, what's wrong with that? I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Argue over from the fan base. Fans want to hear actors voicing the characters they pay for, not machines. Meaning any genuine attempt at replacing actors with robots would result in immediate actor solidarity, and MiHoYo losing untold
the actor was going to be arrested? Wait, what?
Millions in the service of trying to save on a small percentage of that. I hope you guys can get your ducks in a row soon, figure out which battles are worth fighting. SAG-AFTRA is a poor hill to die on. And this response saying, I think she's talking about the strike as a whole, including against companies that genuinely are trying stuff with AI. Not Hoyo's case specifically, but someone correct me if I'm wrong. Well,
you know what? I can't wait. I can't wait for a game to properly use like AI voice in like a cool way. Like, for instance, like imagine if you were playing like a battle royale and it would just be like the announcer in like the thing would just be like, and there goes Big Ball 69. He just frabbed your mom 420. Like, it'd be amazing, dude. I want that so bad. Like, it'd be so good.
I think Allegra was kind of like talking about...
I can't wait till these people are unemployed and we just find this as mentally. Wasn't the finals like that? The finals didn't have custom lines. Like, it did sound really... It did use AI voices, but it didn't actually like have like real-time generation. Like, I want like real-time generation where the announcer actually talks about like what's happening like in the game. Like, that would be fucking amazing. Yeah.
Things, but Jennifer Hale's statement that Allegra was responding to, Jennifer Hale seems like she was specifically talking about the official 2023 video game strike. At least that's how I'm interpreting it. But let's see what this person says. So far as I've seen, the MiHoYo fan base is the only one actually prying into the nature of the strike to see what is going on and form an opinion on it. We are the only ones who have shown them distrust, and our protest against SAG-AFTRA is apparently so meaningless to the media or being suppressed, yeah, that wouldn't be surprising, that not a single real news agency has written an article about it in the past month that I can find. Or I've not seen discussions elsewhere in other communities rallying against VAs. Are there any? Ooh, what's this response? I recall before it blew up in our community, Hades/Supergiant had a very similar drama a few weeks before us. Ooh. Linking to this post, we'll take a look at that after. Going on to say, Hades 2 is a non-union project, but they had a VA that was trying to strong-arm Supergiant into signing SAG's interim agreement and was consequently replaced as a result. Granted, I don't follow their community, so I know nothing more than the fact that it happened around 2 months ago. Interesting. We'll read this response, then take a look at that post. Oh, right. For a moment, I forgot about Marine trying to turn the community into her personal army. Oh, gosh. Why do so many VAs do that, man? They really think they're entitled to the internet becoming their personal army simply because people...
That's all they have. That's why they always do that, because that's their biggest leverage. Their biggest leverage is basically their clout and the ability to threaten the big companies. That's all they have. That's the entire point.
People like how they voice a character or characters. Back at this comment.
That would be sick, Methaline. I want that so bad.
Trying to turn the community into a personal army and unleash them on Supergiant Games on Twitter for them to flip SAG-AFTRA. That didn't get much traction because she failed so poorly to accomplish anything. Yeah, I didn't even know about that. That sounds hilarious. I wish I covered that. The only consequence of that is, oh my gosh. Wait, Little Karibo. The only consequence of that is Little Karibo, her husband, endlessly going to bat for SAG-AFTRA. Seems to have been more of a splash in the community and nothing more. That consequence, by the way, has been hilarious for all of us. Like, whenever that guy's shilling for SAG-AFTRA, it's some of the most funny stuff to read. It's actually really, really entertaining.
Yeah.
Okay, so that takes us to the other post that was linked there about the Hades 2 situation. We'll briefly go over this, although I kind of feel like I'm burying the lead here at the end. This would probably be better off as its own separate video, even though this happened 2 months ago. Maybe I should just like talk about this separately. I don't know yet, but we'll very briefly talk about this here and then I'll figure that out. And if you have an opinion on that also, feel free free to comment down below. Okay, so we got this post from our games 2 months ago that reads, Marin M. Miller, Hades 2 VA, says, it's possible you may hear me get recast in a particular game that is very popular. If I am, it was not because I stepped away from the character willingly. Smile. It's because the employer refused to flip to an interim contract during the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strike. And we can see that very post here on Blue Sky. What makes it even more amusing, though, is the second part, where Marin also said, it would be super helpful if you wrote a giant email asking them to flip for their actors. Yep, it's just like what we read back over on Reddit. Just a pathetic look. Yep. Really, really pathetic. And actually, that reminds me, there's one last thing I want to show you guys. Some additional context on a recent statement that Jennifer Hale made about the strike, but this was something she said in a video. So 2 weeks ago, Jennifer Hale was on this channel, Fall Damage, with their video titled, Can Jennifer Hale Remember Her Iconic Lines? And seemingly out of nowhere, she just starts talking about the strike. Now, to be fair to Jennifer Hale, maybe the person interviewing her prompted her to talk about the strike, like asked her about it, and they just edited that part out from the video. But the video itself does make it look, as mentioned, that this came out of the blue, which was like just kind of like random feeling. But anyways, let me show you what I'm talking about. If we go here and start playing.
There's a couple heroes right about now.
Love that character. Love that story. Love that company. Man, this was a dream. This was such a dream. The biggest issue in the strike is AI. It is the actors and the producers need to turn side to side and look together at the issues. The issues are the challenge, not each other. They are not out to steal our souls and to squeeze us out of a living. They're just not. I don't think so. The actors are excited to do really good work, and the producers want to work with us. They value us so much. I have heard it from so many of them. What we have to do is find a way to create common ground. Otherwise, we're all screwed.
What?
They say there's no...
Who's we, though?
What?
Okay, but really, just thought you guys might enjoy that context.
What the fuck?
As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Consider liking and subscribing.
Yeah, it was pretty obviously cut. Yeah, I think so, yeah.
If you did enjoy the coverage. And
weird.
Yeah.
It was just a weird cut, yeah.
I'll see you in the next one, and have a great rest of your weekend.
I really want to know where this ends. Like, where could it... I feel like they're just going to take the L. I feel like SAG-AFTRA just has to take the L, because if they keep doing this, man, it's over, man. Like, people are just not going to like them anymore. In fact, it becomes a negative for like game companies if they have like a SAG-AFTRA in there, right? This is like the gamers rise up era. Can't really keep pissing off the customers anymore.